Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Once again, the Empire rides, this time against the foul Warriors of Chaos. KARL FRANZ going to be leading the way, of course, up on Deathclaw, so let's get to it. He's got a full kit here, so all his abilities and items. We've got Foe Seeker, Hold the Line. One of you had mentioned that Hold the Line isn't wildly useful on the Griffins, and I agree. The Griffins especially, you know, your characters on them are going to be flying around and won't typically be by a lot of your other units to buff them with Hold the Line. However, with KARL FRANZ himself, because he's such a high value target, he also doesn't have the best melee defense in the world, just baseline. I like to bring Hold the Line specifically just to self-buff Karl, because it gives him a little bit of extra melee defense. We've also got Foe Seeker, Stand Your Ground, Reichland Runefang, and Gal Miraz. For the rest of the build, we've got some Pistoliers here. Frontline is going to be State Troop Spearmen with and without shields. We've got a mix of both. We've got 3 units of Empire Knights hidden in the woods here, protecting the silver bullets, and wouldn't be an Empire build without Faith Demis, right? So we've got the Faith Demis, Royal Alt of Griffites, backed up by a Warrior Priest, of course, Jade Wizard naturally, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the Empire. Going over the Warriors of Chaos, we've got Chaos Marauders with great weapons, 2 units of Chosen in the back, Shielded Chosen, which is an excellent pick in this matchup. I am a huge fan of these guys against the Empire. We've also got the Summoners of Rage, pretty decent pick as well, going to be very good at taking down heavy cavalry. And for the General, for Chaos, a very unlucky Death Sorcerer on a dragon here. He's got Purple Sun and Fate of Buna. Looks like actually no Spirit Leech, so yeah, it's going to be interesting. You know, this Chaos Sorcerer Lord up in the air, potentially going to get sniped out by Franz. At least that's what I'm going to be trying to do. In terms of a speed differential, Franz is 90, and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, because of the evasion trait that he has, is up to 96, so he is slightly faster than Franz. However, with Foe Seeker up, of course, Franz will be able to catch him, but Pistoliers doing some good skirmishing, kind of kiting these hounds a little bit, getting some shots into them, trying to draw them into an unfavorable position where we can kind of screen them out with the spears, but my opponent not taking the bait there very wisely, going to be pulling his hounds back to a more defensive position. And as the Marauders approach, I'm going to go ahead and just collapse this flank with the Empire Knights. Because Marauders are, of course, relatively light troops, you can collapse them very easily with heavy shock cavalry, so yeah, the Empire Knights are going to be charging in just a moment there. Meanwhile, KARL FRANZ does pop that Foe Seeker, and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, this is a bit of a mistake here. It looked like he was maybe going to try and put Fate of Buna on Karl, but it looks like it didn't actually go off, maybe? Maybe he canceled the cast, but KARL FRANZ popping all of his buffs here as he goes after the Chaos Sorcerer and does get some good hits in, and the Chaos Sorcerer already taken about 10 to 20% of his HP in damage, so that's pretty good. You can see then the Empire Knight's going to be charging in on this flank, just collapsing this unit of Marauders very aggressively, with the Royal Alt of Griffites as well providing a quick terror bomb. We should be able to just collapse this unit and start to roll up the flank here. You can see Pistoliers kind of disrupting my opponent in the front line there, and the Silver Bullets going to be opening up shots on the Chaos Sorcerer once he comes into range here. You can see them kind of reforming, and we'll listen to the gunpowder shots as they unleash some fire here, which is of course going to be uncomfortable for the Death Sorcerer. So already putting the Chaos player on the back foot with chasing around this Death Sorcerer. He does have a lot of infantry here though, so you can see I'm having to kind of cycle charge a little bit with these Empire Knights. We're also tossed in the Royal Alt of Griffites directly into the heat of things against the Summoners of Rage. With the Faith buffs and with Regrowth, I'm fairly confident that the Alt of Griffites will be able to pull through. I mean, obviously, the upgraded physical resistance doesn't actually do anything here because the Summoners of Rage do magic damage. That physical resistance will not actually matter, but the increased healing, of course, it will matter significantly. And the Royal Alt of Griffites here, they're probably one of the few units, especially with the Faith buffs. Without the Faith buffs, they'd probably lose this fight, but with the Faith buffs, they're one of the few units that can go 1v1 with the Summoners of Rage. So, yeah, we've got some healing support going down as well. You can see the Empire Knights just kind of clogging up this flank. I'm not being super aggressive about cycle charging, but KARL FRANZ is chasing off the Sorcerer Lord here. He's popping Foe Seeker whenever able. So there he gets a little bit of a hit just to make sure the Chaos Sorcerer doesn't decide to come back. Meanwhile, we've pulled back the Silver Bullets here, Pistoliers running some disruption charges, and then going to be pulling back as well. And yeah, Empire Knights coming to collapse these Hounds real quick. Want to get rid of my opponent's mobility so that the Knights are able to cycle charge effectively. But yeah, you can see the Chosen still really haven't gotten involved in the fight too much. Now they're going to start to get charged by the Empire Knights and such, which, I mean, with their high melee defense, they'll actually do pretty decently here. Chain Lightning being unleashed in the back. Did some okay damage, nothing too crazy, but pretty solid against those Empire Knights. And yeah, Summoners of Rage here in this pitch situation with the support of the Chosen are actually going to do quite well. They're going to start to take down a lot of these Empire Knights. Even the Royal Altar of Gryphites going to suffer a bit here. You can see them getting relatively low, just about at their healing cap though, which is of course some efficient use of that Jade Wizard there. Meanwhile, Karl still chasing the Dragon Sorcerer off the side of the map. Want to make sure he doesn't come back from routing, as with him gone it will put a severe dent in the balance of power. You can see the Pistoliers just kind of posted up on station, getting some very effective fire into the flank of these low armor Marauders here. Especially the unshielded Marauders with the great weapons will take some severe damage from those Pistoliers, and that's some great value right there. You really can't argue with that too much. The Handgunner's also going to come over the crest of this hill here and try and fire downhill into those units, so oh man, love the smell of gunpowder in the morning. And yeah, you can see the Chaos Marauders getting routed off here. More Marauders were able to win that infantry fight and coming forward. You can see Empire Knights are getting pretty tattered. Pretty much all three units had been routed off. And the Royal Altar of Gryphites now more or less at their healing cap, desperately trying to get away from a huge horde of Marauders, but we're able to come drop a quick Terror Bomb here and get to the support of some of these State Troop Spearmen. And of course Karl is coming back. You can see him majestically coming over the mountain there as these Marauders go for a ride. And the Chosen still haven't really been touched very much, just because they've been, you know, they have such high melee defense. They've been getting some decent damage done, but you know, they're relatively slow, so it's not super hard to avoid them. And that's generally what I would recommend, is just try to avoid them until the end of the battle. At this point, my opponent is going to go ahead and admit defeat. Pretty much the only units left on the field were these two healthy groups of Chosen, and Karl was coming to drop some buffs and start to tear into them. So, I mean, I definitely understand my opponent admitting defeat. Maybe have been a little bit premature. These Chosen might have been able to hang out for some time, but with the terror and with the heavy damage of KARL FRANZ, it's unlikely. So, well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. KARL FRANZ up on Deathclaw is a world beater. I mean, he's on par with like Kolek, you know, like a Krokgar, those type of lords. Based on what I've seen over the past couple months, KARL FRANZ up on Deathclaw with all of his buffs can run with those kind of high-tier world beater type lords. He definitely, I would put him in that class now. Previously he wasn't, but especially with Ghal Maraz, he can lay a smacking on any large monster, or, you know, cavalry or anything like that. But in terms of the army breakdown here, 85 kills and an extra XP chevron for this unit of Pistoliers. All of them started out with one, but these guys were able to get another one through the course of the battle, and 85 kills on a group of Pistoliers is not bad at all. That is perfectly respectable. Got a ton of good work into those Marauders, and that's one of the reasons I bring them, is because Chaos, you know, you tend to think of them as a high armor faction, but almost any Chaos build against the armor is going to have either Marauders on foot. You might see Marauder Horsemen very commonly in this matchup, especially Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes. They're decent against heavy cavalry at kiting out and getting some damage done against high value, you know, like Demigryph Knights and stuff. So I like Pistoliers to kind of contest the mobility gain there. They're not super duper effective against the armored units. Obviously they can get some damage done, but like even the Summoners of Rage, for example, are relatively low armor. So like if we go ahead and take a look here at some of the different Chaos units that you might see in this particular matchup. So yeah, like the Weird Spawn, obviously, you typically won't see regular Chaos Spawn here, but Weird Spawn I have seen occasionally in this matchup. Of course, they have very low armor, do have a bit of physical resistance, but the Pistoliers will be able to get effective fire there. Summoners of Rage, again, only 45 armor. They do have some missile resistance, 25%, which is not bad, but still, Pistoliers will be able to get some good damage done against them. Again, you've got the Marauder Horsemen, Horsemen throwing axes, the Hounds even can be effective at firing at them. You've got Chaos Marauders, obviously, with several weapon variants, so definitely some value to be had from Pistoliers in this particular matchup. some might argue Outriders would be better, but personally I like Pistoliers a little bit more for the 360-degree shooting. They're just more of a pure kite unit, and I find them to be marginally more useful in that sense, although Outriders certainly are still a good unit. They have obviously longer range, they just don't have 360-degree shooting, which is my my main issue with them. They also, I mean, they do decent missile damage, but it's not amazing compared to something like a handgunner, for example. And if you look at the total missile damage, I mean, obviously the armor piercing is much lower, but the Pistoliers actually have more total missile damage, probably because they fire 2 shots per volley. They have a higher volume of fire, but they don't have terrible AP values. 2 AP with 2 shots per volley is not terrible at all. So hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.